I can't speak. Welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, where the crappy cars are like Pokemon. Gotta collect them all. What? You're saying I have a problem? I don't have a problem. You're the one with the problem. Today's going to be an interesting day because I found an opportunity that I cannot pass up. I know I have 8 cars and I need another car like I need another hole in my ass, but like I said, this is something you cannot pass up. I found on OfferUp a 1989 Honda Prelude SI in blue, just like this car, for $750. Now you're probably saying that's definitely a scam, and it could be a scam, but the seller had 8 5-star ratings. He was verified. That means the car is probably wrecked. But here's the thing. The interior looks perfect. And really, that's mostly what I need to make this car showstopper, is interior pieces. I'm missing trim pieces. I've got lots of wear and tear on the doors. The back seat's torn for reasons that you don't need to know about. So there is a lot of wear and tear on this car from my 20 years of owning it, from briefly living in it, from moving with it for 6 times in 1 year. This car has been through a lot, and it deserves the best I can get it. And this may be an opportunity for very cheap to get a lot of things that I have lost or broken or forgotten about on this car. So we're going to take a trip down to Costa Mesa after work. I'm going to check in with you once I get down there. I forgot my dash mount, so I'm using the selfie stick, and we're just going to have to work with what we've got, because I'm not going back home just for a dash mount. I'll see you out there. So I really like this car, and by really like, I mean I think this car is going to make my car a much better car. So the idea is that because this is a salvage title, it's never going to be worth anything. So once I swap these parts, I can make this thing drivable and then sell it to someone at a really good price because it has a salvage title. But at the same time, I've already gone through it. I've done what needs the major maintenance items, and I will have restored it to a really good drivable state. So this is going to be someone's forever car that they're going to score for really cheap, and they're going to put a lot of miles on it, and they're really going to enjoy it for what it is. Well, as you can see, I am in a U-Haul truck. We have made a deal, and I am headed out to pick up the car. And this story has actually taken a very interesting twist. Yesterday, I went to go make the deal and transfer the title on this car so that I could come pick it up today. We had decided to go to the DMV together because there was a title issue. It was kind of a mess. We didn't know if it was salvaged or not. So we went to the DMV. We had this paper from the insurance company saying, you know, that there was an inspection for something, something, something. We didn't know for sure if it was salvaged. He thought it was salvaged. And I went down there buying a salvage car. With the intention of buying a salvage car anyway. And so we get to the DMV. We're gonna take care of everything together, all in one go. That way we can know that the car got transferred to my name, and if he needed to be there to do any other paperwork, he would be there. And so we get to the window, and the lady starts looking up the history on the car, and she says, I don't see any indication that this car was salvaged. The only activity I see was the last registration from 2009. That was the last time the car was registered.
Use the right 2 lanes to take the exit towards San Bernardino and IT-10.
Thank you, Siri. She says that there's no record of it being salvaged. And so I'm thinking, I start looking at the car, pictures of the car, and then I ask the guy, hey, does this car have license plates on it? And he says, yeah. And that means it was never salvaged. Because when you salvage a car, you have to turn in the license plate along with the title. And so that just means he lost the title. And so we asked the lady, can we just do a transfer with a lost title? She says, well, yes, but you're not doing it here because you brought up the word salvage in front of me, and that could be really bad for me. So I'm going to ask you to leave and do with that information what you will. So this lady basically throws us out of the DMV, and when I'm walking back to the car with this guy, I tell him we need to go to a different DMV. And then it kind of dawns on me. I just bought a clean title, low mileage, 1989 Honda Prelude for $750. That's amazing. So we get back to the car, we go to another DMV, and we just say we're doing a transfer of title with a lost title duplicate and process it. I have to pay $800 in fees. It's 3 years. They cap it off at something like 3 years worth of registration. Even though it had been over 10 years overdue, they only count the last 3. So at the end of the day, this car cost me $1,575 for an 89 Prelude with 127,000 miles on it. Including the cost of this truck rental, it's going to be another $175. Obviously, I've got some work to do on the suspension. I've got some work to do on the trunk, and I have to get new taillight lenses. But this kind of changes things because I don't want to butcher a clean title, low mileage car. I wanted to butcher a salvage title that was worth nothing. But I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night. I think now I need to restore this car. So that's it for now. I've got a long drive ahead. I'll check back in with you when I am loading this car on the trailer. Well, I got the Prelude. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be to load. So we had 2 options. We could either try to drive it up, or we could load it up using wheel dollies and a come along, and obviously that second option was not ideal. But luckily he was able to put air in that back tire, and he had a few people over at his place to help push this thing up, and we got it loaded in seconds. I mean, it was no effort, no time at all, and we got the Prelude. So now I just have to drive it home get this thing unloaded and then return this truck to U-Haul. It's probably going to be a scramble. I'll try to include you on this if I can. If not, I'll see you at the garage. So as I suspected, it was a total crunch when I got here with the car. I had to offload it. I was an hour late returning the U-Haul. But I got the car off the trailer. It's sitting here on the battery charger. It's been sitting on the battery charger for a good hour and a half now. Put it on the slow charge. And we're kind of running out of daylight. So I want to test this battery to know if it's any good. Get that off. And then put... Oh boy. Doing this with one hand sucks. Put that and that. And what I want to know is if the battery is good or if the battery's bad. Alright, so let's do battery test. Especially if I'm using that thing to start up that car and that truck and that car. I want a good battery. Okay, so this says health is at 1% replaced. So we do need a new battery. I could probably go out and get one now and get this thing in the garage before the sun goes down, or I could wait till tomorrow. Those are my options. So last night we ran out of light getting a new battery. So obviously when it comes to cars that have been sitting for a very, very long time, you just have to assume the battery was bad. And in my case, I tested it because I have battery testing equipment, and it was in fact bad. So I decided that we're going to get a new battery, and this battery isn't going to stay in this car. I actually spent the extra money on an Optima battery with 800 cold cranking amps because that battery is eventually going to start that car. So kind of killing two birds with one stone here, or two birds with one battery. And unfortunately, I did have to clip the terminal here, but I got a new terminal. It's in this little bag, and we're going to put that on first, and then we're going to hook this thing up to the battery. So I have no idea if this even runs, but you know what we say around here. There's only one way to find out. This has a really terrible looking exhaust, so it probably sounds awful. And it's got the original timing belt, but luckily we're not going on a road trip. We're just trying to get this thing in the garage. I need to rehang the door. Alright. There's only one way to find out, huh? Okay. So, I had the car in reverse and the clutch was in. So this is the problem that the previous owner was telling me about. That this car... something is wrong with the clutch. So talking to my friend Ed, who has dealt with this situation before, he says that it's possible that the flywheel and pressure plate are rusted to the clutch disc. So the solution to that is pretty much to do what I'm about to do, which is to bump it in gear, and we're going to bump it in gear all the way up this hill into the garage. And so there's a good chance that we're going to free this thing up just getting it in the garage. But if not, well, I'm just going to, you know, pray that I point the car straight and get it in the garage. Let's give this a try. Oh, I'm scared. So clutch and brake is on, handbrake is off. That is scary. Wow. So it starts and runs in gear, and it will just take off on you if you're not careful. So let's get the mirrors adjusted so I know where I'm going, where I'm pointing this thing. I may have to do this a couple of times. This is scary, though. I'm going to point the car a little bit more forward. And we're going to put it... This is not... No bueno. This is not good. I have to force it out of gear if I want to get it out of reverse. That's... You hate to see it. That is violent. I think I freed it. Yeah, I freed it. Wow. That did it. Now I can shift into first gear and almost. I can shift it into gear and it rolls, or well, it takes off less anyway. Hey, in reverse, it's not totally taking off on me. Oh, we made it into the garage. It's not as straight as I'd like it to be, and it is quite a bit off to the left, and I would like it to be more to the right. But we can solve that problem right here in the garage, thankfully, because I've got my wheel dollies right there. So I can put this thing on wheel dollies, put the car where I want to put it, and we're going to be just fine. Oh, it smells kind of bad. So obviously the gas that's in this car is probably not good. It doesn't smell great in here. But we've got that horrible beeping working exactly as intended from the factory. And it will start. And the exhaust doesn't sound as bad as I thought it would. I mean, it doesn't sound good, but it's not like as obnoxious as my Miata was. Power steering isn't really doing a whole lot. I don't know if it's just low or what. The gas needle is way down at the bottom, and I don't have a gas gauge, so the float might be bad. And I'm going to shut this car off because, like I said, original timing belt, and that means at 127,000 miles, it is on borrowed time. So that is definitely something that I'm going to do while this car is in my tenure. Now that this car is in the garage, I can actually just take a break on this for as long as I need to. But what I want to do next is get it on the wheel dollies, position the car where I want, and then get the front end on jack stands, because I want to find out what is going on with the suspension here. It is not happy, and I want to get it off the ground so that I can see what parts I'm going to need in order to fix this car. So I didn't think this was going to work, so I wasn't rolling film. But now that I see that this actually does have a snowball's chance in hell of working, let's see what happens. So I've got a stripped bolt and nut extractor tool. So you see it's got the the backward spiral thing, so it grabs and bites into the bolt. The reason I didn't think it was going to work was because I thought it was just a little bit too small, but I hit it with the hammer really hard, almost took my fingers off. That would have been fun to record, but I hit it with the hammer, and it seems to be on there. So let's see if we can pull this lock nut off. It seems like it's going to work. Yeah. Oh my God, that actually worked. Wow. Now that the lock nut is off, we could just zip these right off. Now let's see what story this suspension has to tell us. So, we've got stock spring. The upper arm does not look bent. The upper arm looks just fine. This is going to need new ball joints, I'm sure. Let's see here. There doesn't appear to be any subframe damage either. So there's something up with this radius rod, that's for sure. Because it's completely out of whack. The lower control arm, I'm willing to bet. Oh, I can see it. I can see it. It's bent. Lower control arm, I believe, is the only part that I need to replace so far. It is very visibly bent when you come at it from this angle. Yeah. With a new lower control arm, I think it will connect to the radius rod unless there's damage to the radius rod. But I'm not seeing anything beyond that lower control arm. I may have really scored. So there's a little bit of surface rust. The dude lived near the beach, so there's probably surface rust from the beach. It's not bad at all, but if I take this apart, I'll probably clean it up and make it look a little more pretty. But brake lines aren't cracked. The brakes themselves have plenty of pad on them. Surface rust on the rotors. I'm not worried about that. That's going to clean off just fine. Wow, okay, so, and the axle. The axle, CV axle, you can see that it's, the thing is, let's take a look from the other side. So when we look at it from up here, it actually doesn't look that bad with the car off the ground, but when the car was on the ground, this thing was strained really badly. You see the boots cracking already anyway, so it might just be a good idea to pull that off. So I dug into this car a little bit just so I could do some discovery and put together a parts list. And here's what I've got so far. I started here on the passenger side wheel because it was bent back. And let's just go take a look at the control arm. I've put it over here. So the control arm is just a complete boomerang. It's a pretty sweet boomerang, and I got a free boomerang, but that is not a control arm anymore. I actually found a brand new control arm from Dorman for sale on eBay. So I bought that from there. I am going to need new fenders, a new bumper cover. Possibly am going to need this support bracket. I'm actually going to try to bend it back, but it looks pretty trash, so I might have to buy a new support bracket. This all is going to have to be bent back into place here. That won't be too bad. This is all mostly just sheet metal. I need a coolant reservoir tank, and I found all of the original intake parts. So I started poking around in here. I took out the short ram intake that was in there, and all of the plastics for the original intake system are there. They exist. The only thing that's missing is this little elbow, which is just no big deal to replace. Finding all of these pieces kind of reminds me of why I took out my original intake system. And it's because it really does take up every inch of this engine compartment that isn't engine. It's pretty horrible in my opinion, but it's going to go back that way because this is a restoration project, not a custom car project. I've got that over here. See here in the plastic, I have a new passenger side axle. And that's because, as we saw, the original one was, the boots were torn and they were clicking really bad. I don't know if I was able to show you that, but that's what was happening. So I went ahead and replaced it. FYI, AutoZone has a lifetime warranty on axles. And so if you have a 1989 Honda Prelude and you've already bought axles for it, they will honor the lifetime warranty for replacement of the axle for your 1989 Honda Prelude. And so my next mission was to start sourcing parts because this was originally going to be a parts car, but now it is a restoration project. So now I need to find another car that I can start harvesting parts from. And it turns out I found one in blue with all of the parts that this car needed and some of the parts that I wanted to put on this car. So I contacted the guy, and I found it through Craigslist, contacted the guy, and it turns out he's like 250 miles away. And I looked up the address he sent to me, and I was kind of getting some really creepy vibes. Like I was hearing banjos. He was up in the hills, which I'm sure have eyes. The other thing was he offered me a really good price. He said basically $300 to take whatever parts I wanted, which is a great deal except for the fact that he's 250 miles away. I would have had to rent a vehicle and then drive half of the day, strip whatever I can with whatever daylight's left, and then drive all the way back. So the vehicle rental would have been $100. It would have been about $200 in gas. So it would have been about $600 plus an entire day of driving. And I did find a place that was really close to me. Unfortunately, it was a little more expensive. That said, I got everything that this car needed for about the same cost as it would have been to go to this guy, drive round trip. So it was really a net gain of a whole day. He has a bumper cover and two fenders, and you can see the rain has kind of washed them already, so that's kind of nice. This was off of a red car, clearly. It can be repainted. This looks to be a little bit bent, back here, but all of this is repairable as opposed to the fenders that I have. This is actually blue, which was kind of neat. I wish he had more blue panels. He did have a blue trunk lid on him, but it had holes for a spoiler, and I'm not looking to add a spoiler to this car. The 88, 89 spoilers are pretty ugly, in my opinion. And so this is why I want to try to repair the bumper support bracket, because all he had on hand, well, he has a bumper support, but the bumper that was attached to it was pretty mangled. So that's why I want to try to repair what I have, because this was 75 bucks. I don't want to spend another 75 bucks for all of the hardware underneath it. But if I need to, it's there. So that's the good news. And then here's another thing that I need to try to repair. This piece right here it's pretty bad. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to repair it. I mean, you see here, it's actually split. So I may just spend the money and get the bumper support bracket behind it. And then coming back to the engine, this has an original timing belt. So I'm not interested in driving this car or selling it with the original timing belt on it. That sounds like a recipe for disaster, and I want to do right by this car, which means the timing belt needs to be done. So I'm going to order a timing belt, water pump, timing belt tensioner, probably drive belts. No, these might be okay. Maybe not drive belts. An entire valve cover gasket set, and I'm going to get spark plug wires just because the NGKs look great, and this does not look great. And also, while we're doing that, it's a good idea to change out your camshaft seals and front main seal, just because you're already taking those parts off anyway, and it's an easy job since you're already in there. Because if they start leaking, you're just going to have to live with a leak for years until you're due for another timing belt. Back here, I've got the taillight lens. I found somebody nearby who has one that he's willing to either sell or give me. The center bar here, actually, Mike from the channel, oh yeah, about that Escondido Cars and Coffee, Mike, he's going to give me his. He has one hanging on the wall. So it's better to be in a car than to be on a wall, and I'm really, really grateful to him for that. And really grateful to him for all of the things he's given me. He's just a phenomenal guy, and I can't express my thanks enough. I really can't. Another thing that I need here is the side marker turn signal. That, as you can see, is completely broken. I might have one in the garage. I want to try to find it first. I also haven't found a coolant overflow tank yet. We're going to try to remove these fenders, because since I've got the new ones in, I want to get them mocked up and make sure everything's going to line up. And while we're at it, I want to try to address this right here. One down. You know, if you're really good at shaping sheet metal, you could probably repair that, but I'm not really good, so I bought a new one. So here's the new one. We're just going to test fit it, because I want to clean this up. I want to clean all of that up. I want to clean all of that up. We're going to steam clean that, get it looking really, really good before we put it back on. But I want to just test fit it, make sure it's not all bent up. So the holes are lined up here. It actually looks really good. So I got a replacement radius rod, because I was pretty convinced that the one that was in the car was bent. And I think I was right. It is a little bit bent, but especially down here, you can see this is the replacement. This is the one that was in the car. There is a space, a little bit more space here. So it is definitely at least a little bit bent down here. It didn't look like it was stretched out like I thought it was. They are approximately the same length. This one may have been stretched, but yeah, this one was slightly bent. Yeah, this thing is fine. I mean, even if it is slightly tweaked, which I don't even think it is, we should be able to just adjust out what we need to. I'm going to go ahead and put this used bushing in. I don't have new bushings. I'm not really interested in getting new bushings. That's going to mean another 3 weeks of waiting, and I want to get this car on the ground as soon as possible. So we had our nice new control arm up on the car, and when it came time to connect the new radius rod, something became apparent. These holes are not the same width apart. I don't know what this control arm is for, but it doesn't fit. And there is no way this is going to fit if the radius rod can't mount up to it. So thanks, Dorman. So eBay has their guaranteed fit guarantee, or whatever the hell they call it. I guess I'm cashing in on that because this doesn't fit. So huge shout out to Blue Motors down in Sun Valley. They're a salvage yard, so you got to kind of work at their speed. They're, get to the point, tell them exactly what you need, and you can't be picky. So this is a used, mostly good, kind of crusty lower control arm. This can pretty easily be cleaned up. I'm just going to clean this up and give it a little spray just to cover up this surface rust a little bit. And then we're going to throw this in. We're done. Oh, that feels good to say about something. I actually fixed something. I'm not a complete moron after all. The new control arm is in. I had to clean up the threads for the radius rod holes. They had a little bit of rust in them. Once I did that, it all went back together pretty smoothly. All right, let's put the wheel on, and we're not just going to put on any wheel. We're going to put on the new wheel that I got, which is really, really cool. These are off of an Accord. I think these are amazing. I think these are the best because even without the center cap, they still look great. I know it's missing the center caps, but it's still a pretty clean design. And once you clean it all up real nice, like that lip, it's not really a bother once it's all cleaned up. And of course, they're not perfect, but that's okay. I got a really good deal on these wheels. I am going to have to get new tires. Of course, they're all dry rotted and ready to blow at any moment. But we're going to throw these on just to see how it looks. And if the tire blows, actually, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't put this on because this is really, really bad. So we're not going to put this on. We're going to put the old Acura Fat 5s on. And we're just going to get some new tires on all four of these before even putting them on. Now that it's on the ground, it looks a whole lot better. It still does look a little bit back, probably by about a 1/4 inch or so. I did measure it on both sides. I do believe that's just because the radius rod is I adjusted it way far back. It can come forward. I think this is going to be something that can be adjusted out. If not, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's not that big of a deal. We're talking about what? A subframe and a front cross member. No big deal. I've done all of this before. So we're going to just roll with this. The next thing I want to do, aside from getting the air box closed up enough so that I can pull it out into the dirt, is next thing I want to do is I'm going to pull it out of the garage and we're going to hit this thing with the pressure washer. Everything that you see down here, as well as the new parts, we're going to get that all cleaned up. And then we're going to bring this car back in and we're going to start doing the bumper support and all of that stuff. We want to fix the damage first. That's going to wrap it up for this video. What an incredible milestone to be able to end on. Being able to rebuild the passenger side suspension here. There's obviously still a lot of work to do, but wow, this is functionally the worst thing on this car, and I got it done. So stay tuned for more updates on this car. We got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're wondering why there's another Prelude up on jack stands off to the side here, well, that's a different topic for a different day. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, comment. And if you don't like what you see, maybe you think I shouldn't have bought this thing. Maybe you think it was a huge mistake. Maybe you think my time and money should have been better spent on the Camaro. In that case, your name is probably Damon. You're my brother. Leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.